if you're not doing video, you'll be out of the business in 5 years. You have a real risk with your account of getting into a position where you'll never get clients from it. So like if you want to grow your Instagram account, it's you have to be in as many people's last 50 interactions as possible.
This will be like the next probably 5 years of my marketing plan is building out this. So if you can recognize the largest problems, you're actually recognizing the most valuable problems to solve. Hey there, and welcome to The Leads Are Shit. My name is Taylor. I am a real estate agent in Edmonton, Alberta. I am the team leader of Hack & Co., a real estate team at RE/MAX River City. And with me, as always, is Andrew Foliato. Andrew is the founder of Just Sell Homes and the owner of Real Estate Magazine. And he is the marketing side to this kind of marketing sales combo that we bring to you, because when those don't line up, well, what people say is the leads are shit. And I don't believe that. These leads are people. Treat them better than that.
Your mother. So before we dive into like, you know when you see something online and you just feel so vindicated?
How? Oh,
So
that sounds
you
spicy.
know and I've mentioned it before, I've always had this thesis essentially that to a degree, video is overrated. A lot of the time, people want to just write something and read something instead of watching it. Ironically saying that on a video podcast. But there was this like thing that went viral recently on Twitter, like tens of thousands of people. And it was like someone said, I don't want to hear your most boomer complaint. What's your most millennial complaint? And the top one was, I am not watching a video. And it's thousands of people replying, being like, yes, I just want the written word. I just want to read. And it's just like over and over again people vindicating how much I've been talking about. Like, video is great, but it's not for everyone, and there's still a big place for the written word.
Hmm.
It just feels great when that pops up. And it's just person after person agreeing with my idea that I've had for a while.
Okay, pull that apart with me.
Yeah.
So, so talk me through what you think is the right place for video.
So I think there's a little bit of you should have both.
Hmm.
But like, so first, where I talk about is why you shouldn't do it in certain places and depends on the content, right? Like the obvious ones is if you're confirming a showing, they don't need a bomb video of you saying I'm confirming a showing. That's a text.
Showings
But
on.
it's similar to the reason that Clubhouse, I think, ultimately was destined for not being a great success once people left their house again during COVID, which is
Mhm.
it's not possible to do in a more passive environment. So think about this scenario. You're at work in a regular 9 to 5 office. What do you think you can slack off doing more? Reading an article quietly on your website page or watching a 15-minute video from Taylor Hack that has sound?
Do I have AirPods?
Not
No.
everywhere, right? Or like
So
you're in the
this is something
bathroom.
that
You don't want the
this is
person in the
something.
stall next to you.
Yeah, this is something where subtitles often make a
Yeah.
difference. But even this group is just like, I need to be able to scan through this and kind of
Yeah.
pick up where I left off when I've been interrupted. Is that what you're
Literally
talking about?
one of the points here in one of the replies, which had a 1,400 people like the reply, which was 5-minute videos are so much worse than a 2-minute article I could just scan and read. This could have been an email
Mm.
all over again, right? Like
Mm.
so, and this is what I always say when I'm doing presentation because like I talk about this on stage sometimes, but I remember I got in the industry now in like 13 years, but I think it was like my first like presentation from like a guru type person, and it was a video guru. And
Ooh.
they opened it with, if you're not doing video, you'll be out of the business in 5 years, which is like the cheesiest way to start a presentation. Now, this was 13 years ago.
Okay, so that
How
wasn't
many
true.
people do you think are out of the
They're
business that
all
still haven't
gone.
done video, right?
Anybody
Like,
who has not been on a screen has been eliminated. That's
they're
not
not in
true.
the industry, not making any money.
There's people
Um,
out there that still use Blackberries.
yeah, I know a few. AOL email addresses. You know,
Yeah.
AOL still gets 18 million users a month.
You've got mail.
AOL is 18 million a month still. Like,
18 million?
18 million. I just found that out like a week ago.
18 million is like a television channel these days.
It's
Like,
half of Canada.
true, but normally when we're talking about like what is impressive views,
Yeah.
that can be like part of it.
Okay, for
Hey,
AOL, I still feel that's impressive.
last week we were talking a little bit about time of year and how to get some things set up
No.
that will kind of serve you as the year goes forward. And we were talking a little bit about tracking. So, when you are starting tracking something, how long do you go before you're going to review it and start to change things? Like, how long do you have to leave the line in the water before you can be like, okay, I'm seeing trends?
It's not a straightforward answer to a degree because, like, I think you do have to look at context and different things like that, like to become statistically relevant,
Hmm.
essentially. So, like, if I'm running Facebook ads, I want to know, like, from an ad performance level, it has to have minimum 1,000 impressions, right? If you have 200 impressions, you have no idea if it's working or not. Because, like, you can
Hmm.
have an ad getting $20 a lead and then all of a sudden you get three leads, and now all of a sudden it's down to four. But it's just happened those three came back to back to back to back. So you have to give it a little bit of time, right? Um, so like, and if you look at like surveys and it's like from the like this is talking from like the more REM angle, if we're doing surveys of people, for it to be considered statistically relevant, you need about 1,000 people.
Hmm.
So, but you can't like, for example, if we're doing leads, if you don't make any adjustments until you have 1,000 leads, that can be tough. Right? So I personally like I don't have a hard and fast rule. I'm kind of doing it, I would say, depending on where I am, I just try to I there's still a lot of gut there on when I'm making the first adjustments right now. There's not a I don't have that great answer of here's my hard and fast on when I make the change, if I'm being honest. It's
Hmm.
I look at the numbers and I try to see if I'm making sense of them, but it depends where I'm looking at it, right? Like,
I see what you mean.
so it's tough. Now, if
Okay.
there's zero results, that's different too. Like, if it's I'm getting some results, but they're not perfect. But if I'm getting nothing, then yeah, you can tell pretty quick.
Okay. So I'm starting to set up my trackers
Yeah,
and saying, like, this is where I want to start to kind of make charts and measure from
yeah,
to determine how I'm going to take my next steps. Because a lot of what we're doing is kind of testing some marketing through my business and saying, all right, this is some things that look optimized, or here's some
yeah,
ideas that worked, but it's only in my market and it might
yeah,
extrapolate to yours, but probably not everything that we do.
yep,
But we want you to participate in this activity as well. So to say like, okay, well, if it was different like this, how would I mod that? Would
yeah,
that idea still work? So please feel free to contribute. And I'm just going to join here with my laptop as my entourage comes in.
yep,
Normally it's like 7 or 9 tailors.
yeah.
And
You got a
then
few.
I'm going to share.
Let's see it. Also, as always, for people, if you're attending live, which we have a pretty good sized group today, which is great. If you have questions you have for us and you want to get them answered, put them in the chat. We can either answer them through the chat or we can even bring you on camera and do it that way. So if you do have questions that we can help with, let us know. All right, let's take a look. Okay, so
Okay, so this is what I call an SFD. And what
yeah,
that means is shitty first draft. And the reason that I do shitty first drafts is they are the drafts that happen.
okay,
Afterwards, you can dress it up, but if you allow yourself to put a really low quality on your first run, man, will you get like out of the gate more often. And that's kind of
yeah.
what I'm into.
You know,
So
the quick way to do this, just put it into ChatGPT and say, create me a shitty first draft.
there you go. So these
Yeah,
things are going to be taken up exactly like that with
yeah,
AI. But
yeah.
here's what I wanted to kind of see is like I'm going to do my weeks down here. So I
Yep.
work on the weeks of the actual year. You can modify your Apple Calendar or your Google Calendar to carry the week number. So we're looking at week 3 right here. And then this one is for Facebook, and this is for the team. We're
Yep.
also going to be tracking my social media. So I've been
Okay.
testing social media a fair amount, and what I feel as though is that my team social media will be primarily marketing properties,
Yep.
and then my team members' social media, including my own, will be nurture and a lot of talking to people or making videos that our company shares, that type of thing.
I just put in the chat the link to our social tracking template that we give to clients for Instagram.
Okay. So do you want me to move to that one then?
I was just gonna kind of explain a couple of the
All right,
differences
I'm going
there.
to stop sharing
But
because, as I said, this is my first draft. And down here, you can see all the tabs of Taylor and
yeah.
team. And we're going through the different social medias that matter to us. And then this will be where we input information, and I'll turn these into charts so that they're
Well, there is
visual
a
and easy to
we
talk
can
about.
both share now. Wait for it. I think it says we can both share our screens. Is that a new feature? Can the
I've,
audience say if you're watching live, can you see both of our screens right now? Because it said allow multiple to share, or did I just take it away from him?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm
Let me
going
know
to
in the
stop
chat.
sharing mine. I'm going to stop sharing
No.
mine.
Okay.
And now I see yours
Okay,
on.
yeah. So it said I took over. Okay. So this is our social tracker. Super simple.
Mhm.
But like the main difference is I do not have likes and comments on there. Because to me, those are vanity metrics.
Gotcha.
And especially like you specifically are a prime example for this is you have profile in the industry.
Mhm.
So I bet if I went and looked, a large amount of your likes and comments are not people from Edmonton.
Totally.
It's the other realtors that are like, go Taylor, right?
Yep.
So those don't actually help you, but people who save and share your content, that's completely different. That is, I found this valuable. I want someone else to see this.
Hmm.
So that to me, so like I do impressions just as that like top of funnel, like I want to know how many people are seeing my stuff, and that going up means things are going well. Shares and saves is I know the content's resonating and it's driving more people to me.
Gotcha.
Then new followers, like who actually now took the opportunity to click on follow. That I don't really look at like a new followers to impressions ratio too much. I did track that for a while where like the spreadsheet used to automatically calculate that as a percentage. But what I found is just the more new follower, like the more impressions you get with Reels, the amount of spam followers and people who want to do video editing for you start
Mhm.
following. And so like the ratio didn't matter as much to me as like targeted followers. Um, because I'd rather less followers if they're the right ones. So sometimes like impressions wasn't the impression of new follower ratio wasn't as statistically relevant as I was hoping it would be. Um, but new followers, and then because one of the things we talk about on Instagram is you have to send a lot of DMs, is just how many DMs did you send, and then how many actually got a response. So like I'm a firm believer that every new follower should get a DM from you. And then how many of those people actually responded to it? And then obviously how many meetings did you book from there? How many won clients? So we just super simple. And
So you
then
want to trim the fat. You want to
yeah,
just basically break it down and say, let's focus on the actual point, which is one clients.
yeah.
And you only need to put first, second, and third base before home. The rest is just like, did the crowd cheer? Who cares?
Like it's great, but like you have a real risk with your account of getting into a position where you'll never get clients from it because you're so prevalent in the industry that it's going to be agents engaging with you. And that's like you can get referrals that way. But like if you start optimizing your content for the likes and comments, you're essentially optimizing realtor content.
Well, I ran a test the other day where we're going to do this as part of our listing experience this coming year.
Yeah.
But when I had a listing appointment scheduled, I put up a picture of the map and I ran a
Yeah.
poll.
Yeah.
And my poll got locals. My poll got locals plus Ralph,
Fair. I
right?
think I
And
might have too.
yeah, okay, my poll wasn't so local.
Yeah.
Uh, my poll was semi-local.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you mean there. And that's going to be something that I'll have to kind of go through. But
Yeah.
I feel as though that test worked enough
Yeah.
to be like, okay, well, now I know that I definitely have like Now I'm questioning it. Before I had eight, now I have like five. I have five people that I'll
You
respond
still
to
look at it.
with updates.
Yeah.
And this is going to be where I start my list. So what I'm looking to do is tell the world, if you want more updates, come to me.
Yeah.
When they do come through onto my page, I'm hoping to maybe use my message like the filter. So you were saying, do you want more content or are you looking to deal in real estate? And using a combination like that, I may more likely reveal the realtors.
Yeah. Well,
And
you can
then I
mostly
won't do
click through their
things like
profile and
follow
figure
them
it out
back.
anyways, right?
Right.
Like,
But I'll try to engage less with them. Is that the idea?
yes. Now, the one exception to that would be if you think they're a good potential referral partner.
So we're talking right now, anybody in BC, anybody in Ontario,
Yeah.
like you guys are funding my
Like,
vacations right now. I appreciate you.
I assume without looking at your numbers of like if you went and listed all the referrals you got from other agents, there's some pretty big trends of which areas those come from,
Okay,
right?
so
Like,
if that was the case and I just wanted my followers to contain people that can do business with me, well then I'm going to keep the mix, right? So I'm going to so those are all opportunities. So I'm
yeah,
going to engage agents that are from the markets where I believe that there's enough flow,
yeah,
and I'm also going to engage clients.
yeah. Now, how I would do that, because it's more the referral side that you're looking for, is I would still go hard on like obviously Edmonton content so that those agents who do from the other areas see it. They're just constantly be reminded this is the Edmonton guy.
So how I'm doing that is I'm nurturing through stories, and I have a few photographers that just put up like eye candy,
Yeah.
and then I share it through and I like label it Edmonton
Yep.
so that people get reminded in their stories. And these guys do like cool drone shots of bridges and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
even if you're not from here, to be like, oh, Edmonton has that is what I'm going
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, like think of yourself as like you're a cheerleader for Edmonton and like you're selling Edmonton.
I am the ambassador of
Yeah,
Edmonton. I don't work
exactly.
at the gift shop, Andrew.
Yeah, you're the number one. Like you want them to be like the Edmonton guy. Like
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
was sold, I was trying to brand myself as the Aurora guy. Like that
There
was
you go.
my push at the time. Like I just wanted you to think of me as your guy in Aurora, nothing else. And like when I took that job at Remax where I worked for head office traveling around, my goal was to go back to sales. So on every stage I went on, I made sure Aurora got mentioned 3 times. Didn't
Mm.
matter for what. I just had to mention because I just wanted you to start associating Aurora to the point that like people would make fun of me
Mm.
for, oh, there's another Aurora reference. There's another because like people who would go to a lot of my events. And I was just like, yes, but next time you have a referral for Aurora, that's coming my way. Because you don't know,
Absolutely.
you just Aurora is me. It's actually a really clever little hack from a while ago. I don't know if it still works. It was an agent in Mississauga. He was a man, but he changed his maiden name on Facebook to Mississauga.
Oh man, is that Mr.
So
Saga?
it no, so but you don't see that when you go to his profile. But if you type in Mississauga, his profile comes up.
Hmm.
And I was like, that was a really clever little hack of I'm gonna make sure I show up if you're trying to type in Mississauga. Just a nice little tweak there on social. But yeah, so like just so there's some question here. So 2 accounts. So with Taylor, where he's doing where like he has people sending referrals, I would still go hard on like consumers there. Just some of the realtors who trickle in and like engage. The ones that could send you referrals, I would engage with. Ones where like you're like local realtors, unless you're trying to recruit them to your team, I would not engage with them on there from the account that you're
Like
trying to
full
get
out
consumers from.
block?
I wouldn't block them. I just
Just kidding.
wouldn't like you personally don't go and respond and talk to them, right? Because like the more you engage, like say they DM you, go
Mm.
text them. Like take out your phone and move them off of there.
Ooh, spicy.
Right? Like you don't because the more like Facebook and Instagram are weighting your interaction. So if someone likes your post, like they did give it the numbers. I don't remember them off the top of my head right now, but it was like a half a point was a like, 1 point was like a fire emoji comment, a couple points for a what they called a significant comment, which was a comment of at least 4 words. And then like a DM was like double that.
Mm.
So essentially what they're saying is like the more time and effort someone puts into an interaction, the more that's a signal to them that that's someone they want to see more from. So like if you want to grow your Instagram account, it's you have to be in as many people's last 50 interactions as possible. And if you fall out of those last 50 interactions, they're not likely to see you because that's how, to oversimplify it, they choose what you see next by the last 50 things you interacted with. That's why,
Okay.
like, if you watch a video, you start seeing a lot of that type of video.
So I want to loop back because there's some questions to kind of run through, but they all just kind of apply to what we were just talking about. So Miles wants to talk to you. I think you are actually coming on to this podcast from Banff, and I'll probably be talking to you about what's going on there.
Yeah, I'll be
Is that the
filming
plan?
in Banff. Yeah.
Okay. And then but Miles is going to be there, so make sure to give Miles a high five.
We're meeting up.
And then we also have a question about the poll that I put up. So, in essence, what it was a Taylor pose, right? With a background of a map. And it said, someone just asked me to come by and talk to them about potentially selling. And then a poll that said, do you want updates? So, updates is what I'm selling this year. I have a market that has low inventory. Anytime anybody has inventory that nobody knows about yet, it's super spicy. And the conversion method is, do you want updates? Because now I can go back to these people on Instagram and give them an update and then say, if you want more updates on this listing, just shoot me your email address.
No.
And now I'm starting to move them into a mailing list that I'm going to run through a secondary system called SendGrid.
So I would try a different model of that too, right? And this is not because I know this
Okay.
one necessarily works better. It's a testing thing. So you have the poll option, DM them, get their email from them, add them to a list. Updates go through that list. Next time, try the question box and say, like, if they decide to sell, do you want updates? Put your email below and I'll send out an update if they decide to move.
So you just crushed the conversion rate on that.
Yeah.
Because and then the test that we would do, because like obviously the less clicks the higher probability, is why that was a really like cool solution. And then the other side of it is, are people more likely to part with their information right on the story like that, or would it benefit from some type of like connection in the DMs before you try to close that email?
Yeah.
So that's the A/B test. Is,
yeah,
do
you want
you
to know.
need a warm squeeze page? Like essentially they come into your DMs and you're like, hey, how's your
Yeah.
day? Maybe you send a picture of them wherever you are, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just walking out of the showing. How are you doing? And then you get that like personal connection, and then you say, oh, great, I actually got more response than I thought on this, but if you can give me your email, I'm gonna send out a notification.
Yeah. So, and that's where it's testing. I think you're more likely to get the email with stories because, like, the act of they're already following you, and then
Mhm.
them clicking into your stories, there's a degree of familiarity and trust they would already have with you to a degree. Than if this was just like a reel that was more public, even though you can't do that on a reel, but you know what I mean? Of like, if they just happen to see this in the feed, they'd have no knowledge of you. They're less likely to do that direct to email. But clicking into the stories and watching yours, you have some of that already with them. So in that case, I think you're more likely to have it be a successful test. I would probably, if I had to bet, say the poll would work better. But what you also then have to test is not how many emails you get, it's then how many appointments do you get at the end. Like if we get the emails up front, does that lead to more appointments down the road than the DM then grab the email?
All right. So that's definitely key to trying to determine where you're effective.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan was saying, because my followers are split between agents and potential clients, should I two different email account or two different Instagram accounts?
Most of the time I say yes. So like in your case where I would have you, I think it's a Taylor the Hack,
Yep,
and then you have Hack and Co. Hack and Co. I would make 100% consumer focused.
it is.
Hack and Co is where, or the tail of the hack is the one where you have to make the decision. Like typically, how I say is one account, one audience.
Mm.
But there's
So,
always some minor nuances to that, right? So like even if you're going off from the Taylor account all out on consumers, we have to keep in the back of our head that there's also referring agents that you want to stay up to date with there, but you can do a little bit of the same content. But then there's also, if you're trying to grow your team, sometimes the best recruiting strategy is just showing you doing the work and them wanting to be with someone who does that type of work. Right. So there's that
so,
little bit there. Like we've run campaigns for people for lead gen, like What's My Homeware style campaign targeted at agents in their community.
mhm.
They wanted agents to see them doing it.
I think for the so right now we can try the jack of all trades approach,
Yeah.
where I'm going to be putting up Edmonton centric stuff, but I'm going to keep in the back of my head that people that are from referral places
Yeah.
are a good exchange on Instagram,
Yeah.
and other people I just want to pull my exchanges off of Instagram.
Yeah.
And then the idea is that for potential recruits, because I have a good reputation in the industry, I will be more likely to be an acceptable mentor. And then for people that are consumers, it could be that a little bit of this, like showing the industry side, is also giving me credibility at the kitchen table.
So I would say for you, for just because I have an idea, what would you say right now, do you think, without looking it up, is the number one geographic area for people moving to Edmonton?
The Greater Toronto Area, no question.
So I would go get a couple well-known Toronto agents and start doing content with them about moving to Edmonton.
Okay, take me through this because this is awesome. So, I've seen this strategy done before in the states. There was a guy that was doing anywhere to here, so
Yep.
he went from his city to all the migratory routes
Yep.
and basically did podcasts with agents on what it would be like to move from one place to the other and how our house is different,
Yep.
and that was super awesome. So that was Derek, and he's also he's just like a good at strategy like this. So I
Yeah.
did something that was like this with Ralph when I was there. So we shot it in person together,
Yep.
and that also looked like it had some go to it. I like this idea.
Yeah, because it also gets you in front of more people there, but then it also has that effect of like showing you selling Edmonton to the local people while also doing this. 'Cause this is a big thing in the GTA the last like before the market kind of went down. The amount of people like who would start like their team in like the Toronto proper would then start taking ads out an hour away to get listings with the messaging of we have the Toronto buyers, aka they're coming out here with so much money because they sold their house there. So you're kind of doing that branding a little bit of I have a pipeline of people from there who can pay more for your home. You just have to be careful on that one because it can lead to the your one like you get a lot of those comments of like you're the one driving up housing prices. So you gotta be a little
Yeah.
careful on the messaging there.
Yeah, yeah. And I kind of like that stuff because I have to say that most of the time the people that are talking like trash
Yeah,
online are
they're not
people
fun.
that don't do anything.
Yeah,
There are people that can't do anything, so they're to the can't do anything point that they're vocal about it.
yeah,
So for me, I'm fine with catching some heat, and I'm fine with giving some heat. Like there was somebody who gave me a 1-star review after losing to us and after losing in multiple offers on one of our listings.
yeah.
I replied,
Good. I
told them I hope they give you a 0-star button someday. I want you to know you're on our team or you're not,
yeah.
right? And
Our clients gave us a 5-star though.
that's also like the reputation that I like to have is I've had some people refer to me because I negotiated against them.
Yeah,
And that's kind of I think that that's better that people know what they're getting into. Like I'm going to call it straight. I'm that type of agent.
yeah.
And if you want the friendliest person at your barbecue, then pick somebody else.
Well, that's so funny. We had a client who did a case study. So in Toronto at the time, they had set the price per square foot record in a building. Like no one
Ooh,
had ever gotten that much.
in Toronto.
Yeah. So the ad
Hot
we
damn.
did was see how they got they set the record for highest price per square foot. And then it
Hmm.
was a case study walking through all the steps they did to increase and set the new benchmark. And then we hyper targeted it to only people within 1 mile of the building that they did it in. The angry comments were wild on the ad, but the penthouse saw the ad and reached out and he listed the penthouse.
Hmm.
Because who do you
That's
think
pretty awesome.
wants the highest price per square foot?
Well, this is something that is like a great way to call to people. Like
Yeah,
what people are looking for is success. So if you've had that,
yeah,
you can call the people that are seeking that.
exactly.
I was dialing back into my head a moment ago and I was thinking about like those relationships between agents from other markets. And I just saw Ryan mention that he is Ryan from Lethbridge.
Yeah.
And what I'm wondering is if anybody that is by their keyboard that is in our Zoom right now, will you please introduce yourself based on where you are? That would really help us out. You could just be like, hey, I'm Angela from wherever you're from, Star City,
Yeah.
Saskatchewan, population
And
63.
if I go to your Instagram and can't see where you're from, that's a problem.
I'm from Neptune.
Yeah. Oh, the
That's
amount of
what it means.
agents we go to and it says like I'm a realtor, but doesn't even say from where. That's frustrating.
I like it when it doesn't even say they're a realtor. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a professional citizen.
We got the double Edmonton and Calgary.
Let's go. Yeah, yeah. The and
Ryan's
shout out to
dad.
Leanne. It's always cool when you get to work with people that
Yeah. All right. Midland, I have been up there a bunch. It's been a few years, but it used to go up quite a bit.
Hmm.
All right. And side note, besides Ryan and Miles, anyone else going to the Banff conference next week? Or are people here from Alberta? Um, no pressure.
I am in Alberta right now, and I'm headed the other direction. I'm
Yeah.
going to Ontario, and we're going to see what I can find with some of the top American agents. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen there because a
Yeah.
lot of them are talking about lawsuits and the reaction, the aftermath of the lawsuits, which is something that we
Yeah.
may end up seeing here.
Not the same way, but yeah.
Yeah, they'll be different, just like
Yeah.
they are each time, right? Like we'll get like the maple syrup flavor of the
Like
litigation.
the big difference, when not to go off on this rabbit hole too much, is like basically down there was no such thing as like mandatory BRAs or anything, right? Like at least in Ontario, I don't know if Alberta is the same. Like you can't submit an offer without a BRA.
We cannot either.
Yeah,
Like it needs to
but
be signed at the time of
in the US
offer.
that didn't matter, right? Like
No,
you
but that
could
was
do
the
it
same
without.
way it used to be here.
Yeah. But so we
And that was
changed that a
only in
while ago.
some states.
Yeah.
Some states did require BRAs.
Yeah. The change I expect to happen here is the
And what we're talking about
requirement.
is buyer representation agreement.
Yeah. I think the biggest change we'll see here, likely, and I don't know how it'll 100% go, that I would see is like the requirement to like that you have to put something up as a co-op commission will go away.
Yes, I
But it's
totally
already
agree.
a penny. Like you can put up a penny, at least in our area.
Well, I think the change that we should expect is not only that you won't put one up, but that you cannot put one up.
Yeah, which
So
is
that's the part
fine.
that is going to be the talk through points.
Yeah.
And we will both talk through it from a sales standpoint and a marketing standpoint if it goes that way. But if
Yeah.
not, why do we have to cross a bridge? Like, why do we have to cross a bridge we may never have to?
Yeah, and
Right?
I've literally
Let's
seen
just see
some
how it
agents in
goes.
the US are getting more on the buy side now.
Well, it's very similar to the commercial model,
Yeah.
right? Like in the commercial model, like your fee agreement is part of your offer in most situations. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how that goes. And I'm excited to see that there's going to be some people that will no longer have a no goalie situation as buyer reps in our
Yeah.
industry. They have a no goalie situation when they bring them to listings that are promising healthy co-op commissions. And I want to see that change.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few changes I could see happening, but like until we see them, and it could easily be a couple of years still. We'll see. I mean, I'll
Okay.
certainly talk about it in REM.
Okay, so well, let's talk about like some weeks coming and also some setup plans. So we're talking about measurement and management.
Yeah.
We're also talking about like a little bit of a rebuild here that will kind of help us pick people up along the way. So right now, I am whipping together a WordPress website.
Okay.
So the idea is that I'm not sure if I actually want to do an IDX search focused lead conversion because it
Yeah.
requires so much call volume. And in a market that's as fast as mine, I want my agents in the marketplace. My teammates would rather do that than do this. So we're going to be looking at different conversion techniques, mostly based around our own listings.
No.
So in the beginning, I just have to make a good website that is going to be a frame that we can start to build on. Afterwards, we can bring in people that are SEO consultants and start to improve that side if we want to seek SEO.
No.
But what we're going to be talking about together is going to be like, what type of ads do we want to run? How are we going to get those in the water? We're also going to be talking about our lead conversion process off those listings.
Yeah.
I had a 3-hour meeting with my team yesterday where they gave us all of their feedback on our remarkable selling experience. So my real estate team has a very designed experience, and we are all dedicated. We deliver two things, the remarkable buying experience and the remarkable selling experience. How do we deliver them? We deliver them in a way that allows us to get 5 stars more than 85% of the time. So this is like the standard of that. But now we're going to take apart this race car. We're moving from a big box lead generation model, and we're moving into a more efficient model. We're going to talk about the little pieces. Like, where are we going to set our initial ads? What baseline ads are we going to run as a real estate team? The historic ones are how much is my house worth? You know?
And they still work.
And then we're going to start to get into a little bit further as we do like phase 2 of our website. We're going to lean into schools. How are people choosing schools? Where are these schools? What are they like? Can you show us more pictures? Can you give us video? These are going to be how we start the conversations with families. And this will be like the next probably 5 years of my marketing plan is building out this.
Yeah.
So I know that many people that are newer agents, or maybe many people that don't have businesses that they build out the same way I do, because I'm like an entrepreneur first that ended up in real estate, a little bit different. But when they don't build these out, you can start to see why you should. And you can also start to see that once you make a race car, all you got to do is change parts. You don't have to build it again. Once you have a frame, there's some things that we move in and out. We're going to change the turbo on our car to just sell homes. I'm excited about that. We're going to put the stickers on, the decals. It's going to be great.
Pull off a little bit on the decals because we're slightly changing our logo potentially.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I love the idea that we're actually working on my business while we're working on your business. Because in
my wife just found out and she's looking at me like, what?
I imagine that you get in this situation a whole bunch, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to explain that one after. It just came up, okay?
So Andrew's going to be making some changes to the way that he explains the wheelhouse, the way that he explains his process to clients.
So change the wheelhouse name.
And we're going to change the name. We're going to change. Yeah, Andrew is now known as a symbol. This is the marketer formerly known as Andrew.
Yeah, I'm no longer here.
So with that, we're going to be talking about this change of conversation with how we're going to be talking about marketing in general at the same time as a reinvention of my marketing. A lot of people don't know that companies with systems will run through these periods where our market matched our prior system. Now our market is changing. We actually just have to burn the ships and move on.
Yeah. So can you hear my dog or is it canceling out the background noise?
I'm doing good. I have no background noise.
Okay. I might have to get you to repeat the other one. He sees someone outside. He's barking pretty loud. So, but I'm glad it's canceling it out.
Really working well. Yeah.
Right?
You are a noise canceling commercial right now because I'm wearing good headphones.
That's good. I'm glad because like there's times there where I could not hear anything.
Well, I was just foreshadowing into the future because what we're looking to do is essentially start to help you. Like my side is to be your test subject while you start to recraft some of the language around your strategy, right? Yeah. And on the other side, I want to do more of this publicly because there's a lot of pieces of my business that might become pieces of your business. Yeah, the people that are watching with us. Yeah. And that's how my whole company worked, is there were people that shared little pieces of their business and they became often big pieces of my business.
Yeah.
And I owe those people because they paid it forward to me. So I'm paying it forward everywhere I go. That's what I do on every stage I go to. And that's also what I want to deliver here.
You know what I'd like to do and maybe we just do it as an episode, is let's map out how you get clients. Like it's actually build the map. Do you have anything like that yet? I mean, we call it a
I
client
do.
acquisition
I
engine.
have every place
Is
we've
it?
ever helped somebody buy on a map.
No, no, I mean like, hold on, let me pull up what I mean. It's just easier to show it. Like map this out for you. Um,
Oh, you're talking about your mind flows.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like let's
Yeah,
actually
we could
map
totally
like
do
this is one
that.
we just did the other day for someone's Instagram, like how to get new clients from Instagram. Let's do this for your business because that is the best way now. And we can look at it with people to follow along of which parts are we working on, which parts are improving. Like
And
imagine we
then
just
this will
took
turn
one
into
of
our
these and
episode flow.
said, this episode we're focusing on this. Does that make sense?
Okay. So, um, so I see, I like that idea. I'm totally into that. So
Okay.
we can make this map, but we're going to have some delays. So what we're going to do is make the map the same way that Andrew would start with a new client,
Yep.
is to say like, hey, here's what's happening. Because the main thing is I'm trying to change my map.
Yep.
So there's parts of my map that I'm already like going to be losing those, and we're going to be adding in new ones and starting to define them. But then I imagine that we're going to run into build delays where we're making something or testing something and don't have enough results yet to like hit the next episode. So Jennifer is talking about a little bit on the sale and conversion side. She's talking about the delivering the client experience, and we might be able to fill in a few pieces like this as we kind of go along to round out our journey.
Yeah. And she did have a question which I want to get into, which is why are we told in this business list to last, especially when services and means to gain business is ever involving? So, I mean, the quickest answer on this is listings over buyers gives you so much more opportunity to get other clients from them. Like a listing is one of your best marketing tools to get other clients. Like it's we've talked about on this before with like the listing multiplier index. If you can take one listing, it's a lot easier to turn that into three, four, five other deals than it is to take a buyer client and turn that into three, four, or five other deals. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to last, so like that's part of it. That's one there. Two, listings don't take as much time as buyers. They take money and they take expertise and systems and all that. But just from a your time perspective, you could handle 20 listings way easier than you could handle 20 buyers who are actively
I want
looking.
to go a little bit deeper because everybody says this and nobody actually goes like really granular. But
Yeah.
when you're working with a buyer, you have the opportunity to help them buy a house and get a referral from them.
Yeah.
That's like your two chances to win in most cases. When you have a listing, you can sell the listing. Often you'll end up helping those sellers go buy something. You could double end it, find somebody to buy that house. You could find somebody attracted to that house that wants to buy something else, and you could help one of the neighbors because they were attracted to how you were selling this house. So there's so many more ways to win.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to maximize yourself on that, we did that episode with Dean Jackson,
Yes.
and that's something that would probably hit
Yeah.
it.
Just a random thought.
Okay,
As
so Jennifer was expanding here a little bit
yeah,
just to make sure that we clear this up before we move on. Sorry, do you want to do that first?
I just had a random thought that I don't know what regulations would allow for this or not. Once your buyer client moves into a house, could you now put your sold sign on the lawn?
Technically, no, because you don't have a representation agreement.
Well, you represented them on the buy side.
Yeah, but like it doesn't apply to signage. There's no part of that agreement. Like you could
You could
modify it.
write it in,
Yep, you could modify it and write it in, but you might run into real estate rules related to like marketing a property that's not for sale.
but you're marketing it as sold.
Good point. So I guess you're not selling it.
Yeah, like
Like
you'd have
typically,
to
normally
cover
when a
up.
sold signs up, our representation agreement's over anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's you could sign a different one, right? Like you could certainly.
What I mean is
Yeah.
is that your point is already working on the sale side. We are
Yeah.
not under representation at the time a sold sign is up,
Yeah.
and the sold sign is allowed to exist based on what's said in that agreement.
Yeah. So
So
say
it would
like
just
right
be a
into it
trailer
after
on
you
your buy
buy
side.
and move in, we get our sign on your lawn for 30 days.
Hmm.
Another happy client moved in.
Yeah, yeah. The one I like is Five-Star Family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come
or
say
Welcome
hi.
to the Neighborhood. Hmm.
There'd be something like I'd get custom made signs for that too, like specifically around that idea.
Hmm.
There could be something there. Or like we have more buyers if you're thinking of moving.
Yep. Well, right now in the background, we are going over our seller experience, and we're
Yeah.
also looking to optimize a monster open house.
Yeah.
So, what I mean by that is when we have those listings that are in the best neighborhoods and so on, we want to kind of lean into them and we may modify the approach to the market, obviously, with our clients' understanding of it, so that we come on Thursday, but we don't have showings until Thursday evening.
Yep.
And Thursday evening is an opening night launch party. So we're inviting I hope you don't mind, but we're also going to call them insiders, the people that we're emailing marketing to.
They are part of your inner
And
circle.
yeah, it's a good idea. Um, and then those people will get advance notice
Yep.
to come to that. Agents that have clients can come to that or book their own showings. We just want to make sure that we're compliant with the rules. So we're checking a few things. Like, I'm not sure if this is compliant or not, but
Only one way to find out.
yeah. So I'm talking to about it with my
Yeah.
broker.
So a
Yeah.
seller's
So
experience can cost you 10,000, but a buyer's experience if you guide them down the buyer's direction at the right time, so much less cost. Yeah, just like outright, you are not as many expenses coming through on the buyer side, but your opportunity to make money is a lot higher with sellers. So like you might be less money out of pocket, but the opportunity cost could be costing you 50 to 100,000.
yeah. So imagine this: every time you take a listing, you end up starting conversations with four or five people that want to buy something. Okay. So now, when you take a look at incurring that $10,000 cost on that listing, in almost every business, there's something called a loss leader. Like they'll be like an appliance shop and they'll advertise a freezer for $400. Are they making money on a $400 freezer? They are not, right? But they only have 10 of these freezers and that's what they require to advertise. And then everybody else who comes in, sorry, we don't have a $400 freezer, but we do have a $600 one that's larger. And then they start to work off of that and sell them other things. And that tends to be how it is. So when you're marketing a listing, the idea is that this becomes your lead generation for coming into contact with buyers. And the people that take more listings will get so many more opportunities with buyers that they are far likely to be one of the 13% of us that makes it in past 5 years.
Okay, so Jennifer clearly disagrees with us
And
that,
we appreciate that.
yeah, which I'm always openly wrong. Like the only reason I'm like, yes, we were trained that way, list the last, all that, 100% that is it. And I always try to challenge beliefs like that when I see them. But the amount of times I've seen this play out, like even in my own business, when I think about it, like the couple listings I had in the first year, I got way more clients than that. And I got referrals from buyers I worked with, but nothing compares to what I was able to get from the listings I put up because people just calling the sign and then me getting them onto something else got me so much more business.
Mm-hmm.
And then we test that with clients like even today, right? Like we have obviously work with a lot of clients. The ones who take more listings and work with more listings, their business grows way faster than the ones who work primarily with buyers. And the ones that work with buyers typically tend to burn out faster.
Okay, so Jennifer, you're also welcome to fire on your camera if you're in a place that you could talk. With reasonable sound quality is probably the only disclaimer there. And then the other thing I'd like to know is because there are exceptions to this as well. Like if you're in a hot market, I think listings obviously can show an advantage.
Yeah.
Um, but if you're in a buyer's market, I would say that in that case, listings can be dangerous. If you're taking many listings that don't end up selling, you're losing money and you have to be profitable to stay in business.
Yeah. Let me go in the. I'm going to promote Jennifer up.
Okay, so let's get Jennifer on so she can give us what for.
She's jumping in. Should be here.
Hey, Jennifer.
Oh, she's on mute. I
Jennifer, are you at the beach?
No.
There you are.
think she's in Muskoka. She's a Muskoka agent.
Oh, nice. So she is at the beach quite often.
Yeah. It's more the
Ooh.
lake.
Hey,
It's
do we
only
get a
some of the
tour
properties
like
have a beach.
Cribs? This is a banging home office.
It's not completed yet.
Oh, that's okay. I really appreciate you tuning, you coming in.
I
Um,
just,
Break
I
it down
just,
for us.
okay, well, let's look at it this way. We've been trained for the last 30 or 40 years to list to sell. I mean, to list to last. Okay. In the last 15 years, it's basically, or was before 2022, a seller's market in
Yeah.
a lot of aspects. And so the rules have changed regarding our disclosures, the education towards RICO's wishing to educate, or let's put it this way, the federal government and our provincial government and RICO are trying to change the public on individual representation and consumer protection. The game is shifting. And so when you look about the amount of energy and cost nowadays to take on a listing and bring it onto the market, the time, the energy, um, everything before listing it, including doing appraisals, going around pounding on doors just to get listings, so on and so on. When you start truly adding up all of that, getting a buyer can actually be a lot less during, number one, nowadays, a balanced market and a buyer's market. Yes,
Okay.
it can be challenging during a seller's market, but that would be even more challenging during a seller's market where it's a seller's market on steroids, which we
Hmm.
saw for the first time, extra steroids, in the 2021 and at the beginning of 2022. So I think we're missing, and a lot of people down in the States are now recognizing there's a lot of opportunity out there because 75 to 80% of all agents working are trying to get listings.
Hmm. I see what you mean. So you're saying that the entities are sneaking into the industry because they can provide buyer services, or they're kind of gearing up for that?
Well,
I like
who's
what
the
you were
best
talking about.
recommendation? A happy buyer or a happy seller?
That's also a
You know,
good point.
so these are the things that I think we're forgetting.
Okay.
We have to start moving more towards a new approach because our market or our general public is a hell of a lot more informed than they were because of the internet and by governing than back in 1980 when you used to take a dollar bill and break it in half to show them where all the commission is going.
Wow.
Okay, that isn't
I have
there
seen that
anymore.
tactic before.
That's cool. So
It
you
is
covered a few
effective,
things
but it's old.
that I want to break down really quickly here. So one, I see what you're talking about, which is as an industry, we need to define our value on the buying side in a more organized way. I also see that your adaptation to the market, where the market was a seller's market, and then in that balanced or buyer's market, there should be a fair amount of your strategy that changes. So one, taking listings that sell. So your market evaluation should change its function. Instead of get me a listing, it should be filter through listings that can sell and help people that aren't able to be consistent with the market to let them know this isn't their time or their market. And then when you go to the buyer centric side, because I was a very effective agent in a very buyer centric market, one of the worst ones out there for a very long time. And in that case, what we definitely found was doing better at having like a buying blueprint meeting up front, almost like a listing presentation, really showing a lot of value up front, and then making our business more buyer centric was exactly how we did well. In a seller's market, listings are high value, but in a market that's very buyer centric, signed buyers that are motivated to purchase will keep your business in shape.
Well, let me ask you a question and something that Ron James had brought to my attention, which was so true, is who's more motivated? Someone who's listed their property for sale or someone who has just purchased a house and needs to sell their house? So who's more motivated?
Well, I'm assuming that if you just purchased your house and have to sell, something has gone terribly awry.
Why?
Is
You
that
you
normal
think so
client
you're
behavior?
thinking of the old way that it was done, that you list your house first, you sell it, and then you go buy. But
Oh,
that's
I'm sorry. I misheard the question. I
no,
thought you just bought this house and now you have to sell it. But what you're
no,
saying
you
is when
did.
you just sold a house,
No,
you're going to
no,
be
no,
homeless. So
no,
obviously you're
no.
pretty motivated.
Exactly. So
Now do I
who's
have
more
you?
motivated? The
Okay.
person who's just listed their house, hoping to get a high dollar because they're looking for the opportunity of cashing in their investment, or someone who is going through growing pains, needs to change their living accommodations, either divorce or whatever it may be, bought a house, okay, and now they've got to sell. So who's more motivated? So our problem nowadays is all we're doing is we're looking at opportunities instead of determining what the market pains are actually happening out there.
I love
Because
where your head's at.
pain is where it's at.
Yeah,
Who
because you're
has
saying,
the issues? Where's the market with that has the issues? Where's the
yeah,
pain coming from? What generation is the pain coming from? What location is the pain coming from? What financial issue is the pain coming from? We're looking at our markets completely wrong. We're looking at them as listings and buyers, not pains and opportunities, because that is what the market is really all about. And nobody is considering that.
well, Jennifer, you're amazing. I really like where you're hitting on this. There's a bunch of things that you're laying in there that I'm not sure everybody's catching. So one, in order for change to take place, the pain you're in has to exceed the pain of change. So when what Jennifer's saying is navigate by feel, if you can recognize the largest problems, you're actually recognizing the most valuable problems to solve. So by reading the market first, then you can go to the places, and often it is these sellers that are uncertain about how much they can get for their place. And then in a buyer's market, as soon as they sell, it's candy shop time. So many listings to choose from, but they have a timeline that keeps them kind of on the straight and narrow.
Okay, so ask yourself, or have you thought, every time you go in to apply for a listing, have you ever thought how much listing that house and selling it actually costs the seller?
Yeah.
On $1 million property, it's what, 50, $60,000? The they're going to be losing 60 to $70,000 between a million, 1 point to 1.2, okay, just to do a transaction. That pain's got to be pretty good that you're going to kiss $60,000 out the window, or
So
that
that's something.
opportunity has to be really damn good. So this is where pain opportunity, and pain always wins over opportunity.
I totally agree. And I want to break down that pricing with you another time. We're going to have to close now, but the in that case, I argue that without paying me, you're not going to get that money. So if you can sell your property for the same amount on your own that I can sell it for, then do it.
No, no, that isn't what I said. What I'm saying is that for someone to sell their house, it's going to cost them $60,000 to do this transition. And that's not even costing the moving costs or the releasing of a mortgage.
I
So for
gotcha.
a pain to be that high, for someone to change their living accommodation has to be pretty painful to throw $60,000 out the window just so
Okay,
that
so
they can
put
get a
another
new
way,
record.
that when somebody comes and tells you that they want to move, this is often a $60,000 to $100,000 problem to solve, right? So it's a valuable problem to solve. I was looking at it from a different perspective. I really appreciate you coming and chatting with us from Muskoka. I have to say, you get extra points for the map on your real estate office wall. I think that that's something that completes a real estate office. That's really great. I don't see a whiteboard, but we shouldn't see your whiteboard on screen here. So if you are going to join us, make sure you hide the whiteboard. We don't want to see your client names. But for everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate when people participate. I love the idea that we were able to start putting some locations in the chat. I'd like to continue that on our next so we can see where everybody is, because often we have no idea who's a good agent in that market. And I can tell you, in talking to Jennifer, she obviously has a real good grip on how this stuff works. So thank you so much for joining us. Andrew, do you want to call us out, or do you want me to do it?
I think you're pretty good at this. Best
Okay,
hype
well,
man there
Andrew
is.
Foliato. Sorry?
Best hype man there is.
All right, here we go then. The man, the myth, the legend, Andrew Foliato. He is the founder of Just Sell Homes. He is the owner of Real Estate Magazine, and he's the guy who made this podcast happen. I'm really just Robin to his Batman. So we appreciate you joining us. My name is Taylor. I'm a real estate agent in Edmonton, Alberta, that really values being highly rated and reviewed and loves winning for families in real estate. And we're really happy that you joined us, because if you feel like the leads are shit, there's some alignment to change, and we're here to help.
See you guys next week from Banff.
See you next time.